This is weird because I've got three people watching, but I don't know if I'm up on the screen. If you are watching and can bring up the chat room, just say where you're watching from, so then I can start. There, you can see me now. Everybody's a little shy today. Nearly ready. Okay, I'm excited. Okay, and away we go. This is a brand new experience for me. Usually this is done over Google Hangout, and I wanted to try something different. YouTube is trying to go after the Twitch uh, video gaming live streaming market, so they've really started to push this YouTube live streaming, and that's what you're watching right now is a YouTube live stream. This it also will save the video, so you can go back and relive these moments over and over again if you want. If you go to that link, educate me /live, the little chat room, there's a chat room that goes along with the video. If you're watching this at the Google Day, you probably will want to pause the video because everybody's video might be at a different spot. So that way you can watch me on the projector. Hopefully somebody will take a picture or two and tweet it out and mention me so I can see what it looked like they're presenting. So my name is Ryan Collins. I'm Director of Technology for Kenton City Schools, and my other contact information is right there on the screen. Today we are going to look at some more advanced steps that we can do in Google Apps for Education. Specifically, we're going to look at Google Docs, Google Drawing, and Google Sheets. I only have 50 minutes, so I'll try to go quickly, but not too quickly. And if you have any questions, just put them in the chat room and I can reply to them when I get a chance. So, and hopefully you'll get something new out of all of this today. So the first thing we're going to look at is styles. Out of that. Ooh, hey, Google, don't get us ahead of ourselves. Styles. When you are working with Google Documents, and this goes with Word documents or Pages or whatever your favorite word processor of choice is, there is this drop down with styles in it. Now, most of the time, no one ever even looks at that to use it. But styles are there to help you have a consistent formatting for your documents. If you've ever seen a Google document, you know that they always come in Arial at 11-point font. And when it's printed out, you know exactly, well, they did that in Google Docs. Just like if it's in Times New Roman, there's a pretty safe bet that they did that in Microsoft Word. Well, I'm going to show you how you can change the styles and set them as your new default. So your documents will always have your own look to them. When I look at a document that I've done, I know exactly, okay, I did that document because the font is not Arial, it's this font that I've chosen out of the list. So when we look at the styles, I'm going to put a title on this document so you can see what that title looks like. My Great Speech. We'll make that the title and then chapter 1. Let's make this a book. It'll make better sense. Chapter 1, and we want to give that heading 1. And chapter 1 is really short. Chapter 2. Oops. I still want to use heading 1. This would be my chapter 2. And that looks all well and good, but that's kind of boring. I want to change, for starters, let's change my default font. I can select all of my text, I can select a little bit of it, but most of the time your default font is this normal text style. So I want a different font. I kind of like this, well, let's use Roboto Slab. I kind of like the look of that, but I need it just a little bit bigger. So that's going to be my default font, but you notice I only changed it for the first little bit. I didn't change it for the rest of my sentence. When I go up to normal text, there's a pop-up menu on the right. If I hit apply normal text, it's going to switch that back to where it was. That's not what I want to do. I want to update normal text to match, which means it's going to change the normal text style to what I just selected. And when I do that, it changes it for the entire document. You notice these fonts also changed because apparently they build off of the normal text font. But now as I type, it's going to be in my new font. Woohoo! And I can do the same thing with my headers. Let's pick a slightly different font that's not annoying. Droid Sans sounds good. Bold it. And I like mine to be, the Wildcats are red, so I use red a lot. And when I update heading 1 to match, it changes both my, everything that I did for headers. And now from now on, when I do chapter 3, and I select my new heading there, it automatically sets up my header for me perfectly. More garbage to type. So using styles, and you've got several of them there, you can provide a consistent formatting for your documents and change what we're going to do next. Set it so all of your new documents will be this way. So if I go to options, there's an option to say you save as my default styles. And when I do that, once I change that under options, once I say save as my default styles, every new document that I create I'll try not to sing today. You notice my default normal text now is Roboto Slab. This is some text. And my headings are changed also. So if you just change your styles in one document and don't use save as my default styles, that style will only stay with that document. If you save as your default styles, every document will then use those styles. And there's really no way to have multiple saved groups of styles, which would be kind of nice. A workaround for that is to create a couple different documents. If you have some different styles that you want to use, create a couple documents and just make copies of those documents when you want to use that same style. Now, if I change my style back here, let's say I don't want to use Droid Sans as my font, I'll use this Stardust stencil, which I would not do because that looks just annoying as all get out. So middle schoolers will probably use that one all the time. It only changes the style in this document. You notice it didn't change it back here. And even if I update my styles to match, not update my styles to match. If I save as my default styles now, new documents will have this stencil font, but previous documents and everything will not. So each styles is saved with the document as it was created. So try it out. I use it a lot just so I know exactly my documents all have a specific look and feel, and they're consistent. Because if you had this and you decided I want to change my style or see the gap between these two, it also extends. I can say I don't want that space before my paragraph. This is not saved in the style, but because this is attached to that heading 1 style, it'll change it for, well, just one of them. Yeah, shoot. I knew something wasn't going to work right today. Oh, I know why. Duh. Remove space before paragraph, and then update style to match. And it removes it from all of them. That line spacing is attached to this style. So now I do not have that spacing in front of my chapter headings, and it follows through on the book, throughout my whole little book. So styles is a really cool way to keep your documents consistent and make them stand out that they're your own and not every generic Arial standard font that came out there. So the next thing we're going to look at is we have our nice book and we want to spruce it up. People coming from Word or Pages, it's really difficult because you can't really put text where you want it. A lot of times you can cheat with a table, and I don't want to talk about tables today, but we'll just show you. If I wanted to do 2 columns in a Google document, I would make a table with 2 cells. This is the left side. This is the right side. Oops, don't want to select all that. Control copy. And then go to table properties and just say 0 for the border. And look, you got nice little 2-column font, 2-column text, and it looks pretty good. I wish it did the little light outline that Word does for the tables, because you don't remember it's there, but I didn't want to talk about tables today. But that's one way to cheat on laying things out. Another way to cheat, I shouldn't say cheat, another way to do it is to insert a Google drawing. I like to do this because I like to have little colored boxes in my text. So I will make a little colored box and get rid of that. You know, we got to use red because that's our color. And a text box we can type in. This is me typing in a box. And let's make that a little more readable and a little bit bigger. So now when I oh, come on. I'll make that bigger. Okay. So now I have this nice little text box. When I do save and close, it inserts it back into my document. I can turn on wrap text, and I have a little box I can move wherever I want. So if you're doing like a newsletter in Google Docs, it's a neat way to do little call-out boxes for things. Or if you're doing any sort of documents, it's a nice way to be able to put text wherever you want in your document. Now I could have, instead of showing the box, I could have made the background transparent, the line transparent, and then I probably want to give the font a color. So now I have a text box that looks just like a text box that I can drag around. So putting Google Drawing items into a Google Doc is a great way to give you some more flexibility on sprucing up your document. This doesn't really look like your standard Google document anymore with all the little special cool little stuff in there. So those are just the 2 things I wanted to show on Google Docs. Any questions, type them in the chat room and I'll respond as we move on to doing posters in Google Drawing. Now I'm bypassing a lot of to start a new Google Drawing, go to New, More, Google Drawings. I've already got one open here. Sometimes you use, sometimes you just want to have them make a poster or something that they want to print out to hang up. I know we don't want to print, but sometimes it's nice to have that as an option. And sometimes you use like Lucidpress or, well, Lucidpress is the big one. You'll use that to create a poster. I'm going to show you how to do it in Google Drawing. When you start up a new Google Drawing, you get this square thing, which is not going to be poster size. So there's basically only one little piece that you have to do posters in Google Drawing. Go to File and Page Setup, and it has all these different sizes. We don't want any of those. We want to go to Custom, and we want 8.5 by 11 inches. Now, once they do that, I tell them never grab hold of the bottom right corner because you'll change the sizing and all that. But now I have an 8.5 by 11 document that I can use the zoom here so I can zoom in a little bit. And I can use that to make my poster. Oops, I don't want to do that as a text box. Use my favorite device. Now I wish I could change the default colors on these automatically instead of having to do it every time. And none of my styles go through, so I still have to go through and do all that each time, which is kind of a pain. Once you have a block that you like to use, you can click on it though and hit Control and D, and it'll duplicate the box for you. So if you're doing something like, I was helping second grade teachers do an assessment with money, and basically they just inserted one coin and then they used the Control D to duplicate that coin several times to create it, and it just saves you a step from doing Control copy, Control C, Command C, and Control V, Command V, or right click copy, right click paste, or use the edit button up there. Whatever you want to do. I'm doing hand motion, so I figure I better turn that back on so you guys can get the full effect. And then this resets the size so they can see how their poster looks. But the big thing here is when they work on the poster is to not grab hold of the bottom right. Now our poster printer at school is an HP inkjet printer that'll do 24 inches wide. The printer driver for us will automatically enlarge this so we can do, usually for student work we'll do 11 by, what is it, 11 by 18 and a half inches, or 13 by 8 and a half inches, 13 by 18 and a half inches. I think it's somewhere around there, I can't remember. But it'll automatically enlarge this 8.5 by 11 to the different sizes we need for the different posters. So that one's just a quick tip. It's just under page setup to set this on custom and do 8.5 by 11 so you can do a poster right in Google Drawing without using an outside source. Last thing I wanted to show you. Student Tracker. I'm teaching 2 classes this year, and what I want to use with my students is a way for them to see what they've turned in, what they haven't turned in, so they can help plan what they need to do. And I can look at a glance and see, okay, we need to work on this, or we need to have a little conversation with the student. What we're going to end up doing, we're going to start with this one right here, and when we're done, it's going to kind of look like that. So I did a standard spreadsheet here. I'm going to grab hold and kind of freeze a couple of my panes. So, whoops. The bottom one here, we'll scroll it so it'll always keep my header row at the top. And when I grab hold of it over here, let me do that again if you're not familiar with that. When I mouse over, I get the hand, and I can drag that down. So that's going to freeze from there on up. And you can drag it down if you want it farther. And now Samantha will always stay at the top, but we don't want that. It's the same way it goes with the columns. I'm going to drag it over there, 2 columns, and now I can scroll left and right, and those names will always stay up there. We're going to do something different though with these. I'm going to use conditional formatting to show us what's done and what isn't done. I'm going to highlight the cells that I want to apply the conditional formatting to. You can do the columns like this, but when you use conditional formatting and highlight the columns, it'll apply the conditional formatting to your header row, and that makes it ugly, and we don't want anything ugly. So I'm just going to highlight the cells I want to change. Now, conditional formatting is a way you can format the cells according to the information that is inside of the cell. So I'm going to highlight these cells because these are just going to either contain information or be empty. And if they're empty, I want them to be red. And if they have stuff in them, I want them to be green. So we know we're done. The conditional formatting you can do under Format, Conditional Formatting. Since I highlighted the cells first, the range is already in here. If you start up conditional formatting and nothing's highlighted, it's not a big deal. Oops, I accidentally applied that when I did that. So if you don't have anything there and you do conditional formatting, it'll only have the cell that we just did. You can click on the little grid. Oops. Why won't it let me? Oh, yeah, it still lets me. And then I can highlight it behind the box, and it throws it in there what data I'm highlighting. And you can do multiple ranges in that way, but we're not going to get that fancy today. So we're going to apply it to C2 to E11. If the cell is empty, their default colors here, that's not red enough for me. I want it redder. There we go. Nice deep dark red. So I want those red if they're empty. So it's red if they're empty, and then if cell is not empty, let's do a little cooler green. Make it green. And actually make the font bold and bright white. Now these are done in order as they go down, which for us won't affect us too much because we're only having 2 items, but you can drag them on the left side if you need to rearrange them. So now if you put information in here, it'll automatically change the ones that have data in them. And like for the assignments, you can just put an X that it's completed, or you could put the date that it's completed. So it depends on how you want to track it. But since we just went off of cell is not empty, we can put whatever we want in there and it'll be correct. So now once you see through this, you see who has stuff done and who does not have stuff done and needs to work on it. Now, sometimes your assignments, they have to do multiple things. And my example here is 3 comments. So let's say your assignment was they have to post 3 comments in a discussion forum or on a blog, or they have to do 3 posts. Well, instead of just having it either done or not done, we can apply a scale. So I'm going to highlight those cells and we're going to add a new rule. And over here is color scale. And they have different ones to use. We're going to use this one because it's going to be lower numbers on the left, go to higher numbers on the right, and we don't have to change things a whole lot. So we want maximum value because, I know what I did here. Midpoint is 2 because they can either do 1, 2, or 3 for our assignment here. So I'm leaving the other ones blank. So all I did was hit color scale, the range is in there, selected this color scale, and the midpoint is 2. And for this one, though, you'll have to start out with, okay, what did I do wrong? Those should be red. Oh, there we go. There we go. Oh, and now make that a darker red. Now we have our zeros in there, and if a couple of kids get one thing done, it goes to 1. They have 2 things done, kind of goes to that white. That white's ugly. Oops. Let's give that a little yellowish. There we go. So it goes red to green. And the students that have 3 then, it'll give them our nice green. And we probably should change that green to match our other. I don't remember which one I used, so just guess. So I did this on 3 comments. Let's say I wanted to do it on 5. So now as the closer they get to green, the closer the students are done with their work. So it's a neat way, and you can also use this technique if you are tracking scores for students. Say they had their assessment and you want to have the ones that did not do very well in the different standards be in a different color. You can use the same thing. That's all under conditional formatting. And then finally, I share the spreadsheet, well, wouldn't like it. I share it with the students so they can see where they are and also see where they are in relation to the rest of the students in their class. I don't have grades on here. It's just whether it's completed or not. But some of the information I want to collect from them. For example, if the website, I want it to be a website they created on Google Sites or WordPress or however you want to do that. I want them to enter information in there, but I don't want them to be able to go in and check that they have everything done. So what we want to do is apply protection to this where we only give them access to change certain columns, but not the whole sheet. Well, the first thing I do is the columns I want them to change, I make the font for the header in yellow. So they know, okay, this is a column I can change. Next, we need to protect the sheet because this is shared with them edit. You have to share the sheet with them edit, even though we're going to lock it down so they can't do a whole lot. So under tools, the sheet is shared with them edited. I'm going to do protect sheet and make sure this sheet is pushed down and make sure it's not on range because we're going to do sheet and we're on sheet 2, which is the name of our sheet. And we're going to say read only for our name. But here we have accept certain cells. So the protect sheet is going to protect the whole sheet, and I'm going to check this accept certain cells. And see we have our little selected data range. And that's what that's supposed to do, go yellow. So I can go over here and highlight this range. And say OK. And set permissions. Restrict who can edit this range. Only you. Because this goes for the page. This is confusing. Just leave it as the default. So now the students, when you look at protected sheets, it's read only because that's what we named it, but the whole sheet is protected except C2 through C11. And if I click on that, let's say I had another one, they're supposed to they created Twitter accounts. Twitter account name. I want to make that yellow, so I want them to edit it. Oops, don't want to highlight that. So I can add another range here. Select those cells and say OK. And now they can edit those cells and these cells. Now, you can lock it down even more, cell by cell. I don't do that. They could go in here and delete everything that everybody else has entered, but you have that in revision history, and then you can take care of that later on. It's not worth it to me to lock it down that much. Now, let's say we have our beautiful sheet and we get a new student. What I would do is insert the new student somewhere in between, because it will copy over the information that we already have. So this could be Buzz Lightyear, and his information's already set up. If we go to the read only, it automatically extended the range down another row because it goes down to 12. And the conditional formatting is already set up for everything, depending on where we are. There we go. So it's already set up for those cells, and that one's already set up for the color cells. The only thing is it doesn't have the 0 in it to start them off from scratch. But that's the easiest way, so you don't have to bother trying to copy and to deal with all of the different little formatting. You could add somebody at the bottom. And then drag those down as a fill down. But we're going to test it here because I can't remember if that actually. So I do a fill down and it'll copy their information, but I can't remember if it also changes the ranges. See, it doesn't change the range because it should go to 13 now and it doesn't. So if you're going to use this, insert a row in somewhere in between, and then it will automatically change the range and it'll do everything a lot better for you. But now you're asking, well, I've got them all in this great order. What do I do about keeping them in that order? Fred Flintstone. You can highlight, clicking up here highlights the whole spreadsheet. And under data, there's a sort range. So I can then say my data does have a header row. So sort by last name and then sort by first name. And boom, everybody's sorted again. But you know that I added that column at the bottom. Samantha here would not be able to edit her information because we never changed that range. So I'm going to change that range. So now I have them all nice alphabetical order, and their information's in there. One final piece is, and this one you probably already know, under tools, under data, there's this filter option. When I turn that on, it automatically highlights what it thinks where all my data is, and it puts these little drop down things. Once those are in there, I can say only show me the blanks, and now it'll only show me the students that haven't done the website assignment yet. And if you look, there's a little funnel looking thing. That means that column is filtered. And I'm going to go back and select all so we can see them all again. And you can do that on any column. Let me put some information in this one. So if you, let me turn it off and we'll turn it back on again. I can go up to data and filter, and I can say just show me the blanks for this column. And so I know these are the people that need to do this assignment yet. So I can easily email those students. My actual spreadsheet has their email addresses in a column. And let me turn this filter off so we can. No, we'll leave it like that. I actually have their email addresses in here. So they can, here, let me just do a quick email. So we have some information here. So it makes it really nice. I can go to assignment 1, show me my blanks. Okay, these people still need assignment 1. So I'm going to highlight, copy, go to Gmail. Hopefully there's no embarrassing Gmail in here. This is my training account, so who knows what it gets. No, nothing. I can paste that in the 2, and it automatically throws them all in there, so I can then tell these students, hey, get this done. Get assignment 1 done. Don't want to send that. So it's a neat, quick way so I can keep track of what they've done, what they haven't done, and also I can gently remind them, hey, this needs to get done, or hey, good job on getting this done, which we should be more positive. Hey, thank you for getting this done. 6 minutes left. Any questions? You guys have been awfully quiet. I don't even know if there's anybody still there. I don't see anybody typing. I have 27 people watching and no one typing. Here, I'll put a smiley face. Well, I'll leave this up for a little bit longer. If you have any questions, tweet me, email me, yell at me. I don't know. However you want to get a hold of me. Hopefully this was useful. This is weird doing it as a live stream because there is no feedback. It's just me talking to myself in a little room, which doesn't necessarily mean it doesn't happen very often. But thank you for attending my session, and I hope it was valuable to you. Have a good day. Have fun the rest of the day there.